All right, y'all. Bernie Sanders recently issued a dire warning to Americans, warning us of some of the largest threats that we are facing. In the first part of this video, Bernie explains that there are essentially two different Americas right now. The first America is for the rich and the elite. Just three men, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg, just three people own more wealth than the bottom half of our society. And together, they're worth almost $1 trillion.
They got fleets of jets to take them all over the world. And occasionally, they take cool trips on rocket ships that blast off to the edge of outer space. A lot of fun. They also receive the best healthcare money can buy, and they send their kids to the very best private schools and colleges in the world.
He essentially called out Jeff Bezos right there, and Elon. Jeff Bezos has been exploiting his hundreds of thousands of Amazon workers, trying to pad his profits, and using his robber baron wealth to fund his passion projects, like going on rockets to space, which costs billions of dollars to do. So that's the first America. Here is the second.
In the other America, millions of Americans are struggling just to provide for the basic necessities of life. In this America, over 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck. Millions work for starvation wages. 85 million are uninsured or underinsured. And over 60,000 die each year because they can't afford to go to a doctor on time. In other words, we are living in a nation today where a handful of billionaires have more money than they could spend in 1,000 lifetimes, while at the same time, millions are living in desperation, fear, and are struggling to survive. But let's be clear. Our country is not just experiencing an unprecedented level of income and wealth inequality. Today, the ruling elite have brought about a situation in which we now have more concentration of ownership than we have ever had before. In other words, a small number of giant corporations have enormous control over our economy in sector after sector: healthcare, agriculture, financial services, energy, transportation, you name it. A small number of giant conglomerates control what is produced and how much we as consumers pay for their products.
Look, conservatives can pretend to hate Bernie Sanders all they want, but he's telling the truth when he points out that the concentration of wealth in nearly every major sector of our economy is controlled by just a handful of corporations. And that massive concentration of wealth is the main reason that housing is unaffordable for most people, that medicine and healthcare is unaffordable for most people.
Unbelievably, just three Wall Street firms, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, control assets of more than $22 trillion. These three Wall Street firms are the major shareholders in 95% of S&P 500 companies, exerting enormous control of the largest corporations in the world. Three Wall Street firms, unbelievable power. And that is not all in terms of what's going on today. It's not just the billionaire ownership and control over the economy and the media that should concern us. The uber rich are also buying our government. They are buying our government and undermining American democracy. Never before in our history have we seen a ruling class with so much political power. As a result of the disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, billionaires and their super PACs can spend unlimited sums of money on political campaigns. And that is exactly what they are doing. You get one vote. They get to spend unlimited amounts of money.
For everyday Americans like us, it's one person, one vote. While the top 1%, the billionaires and large corporations, get to spend unlimited money through super PACs to buy politicians to do their bidding for them. Essentially pay to play. There's no better example of this happening than right now. Elon Musk spent over $270 million just himself on Donald Trump's campaign. And what did that buy him? Well, That $270 million donation earned him a free pass to access our treasury, where he is now illegally bypassing Congress to pause funding for programs that he doesn't like. Congress has the power of the purse, which means that if you don't like where money is being spent, you have to introduce a bill, and it has to pass through Congress, the president has to sign it, and that's how you change it. And that's how checks and balances work. You can't just unilaterally pause funding where you see fit.
During the 2024 election cycle, just 150 billionaires, 150 people, spent nearly $2 billion to buy politicians who support their agenda and to defeat candidates who oppose their special interests.
It's important to note that this happens on both sides of the aisle, in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Billionaires who represent just 0.0005% of our population accounted for 18% of total campaign spending. My friends, that is not democracy. That is not one person, one vote. That is not what this country is supposed to stand for. In his Gettysburg Address in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln spoke about, quote, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, end quote. Well, sadly today, we have a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. We are in a pivotal and unprecedented moment in American history. That's the simple reality. Either we fight aggressively all over this country to create a government and an economy that works for all of us, or we will continue to move rapidly down the path of oligarchy and the rule of the super rich. The choice is clear.
The choice is clear. We need single-payer healthcare. We need to end Citizens United. We need to break apart large corporate real estate development so housing can be affordable again. That is very clear.
We must stand together for democracy and justice. Let's do it. Thank you all very much.
So that was Bernie's warning that essentially the oligarchy is here. There are things we can do to prevent further harm, but we have to stand up and fight. We have to make our voices loud and clear.